Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're here, and the party has decided to accept a suggested name that is very awesome to be known as the Lamenters. So thank you to Ann Adams for that awesome suggestion. Just a short recap. I'm not going to recap the entire last session, but in essence, the party had gone north to check on the welfare of a few of the farms to the north, and they met up with the Kerr family, who had successfully fended off an orc attack. They were able to also find out that the Kerr family was one of the families that had been heirs to a candle holder, which you were given. And then you guys, as you were about to head out, you had inquired about the courier, and Brolgood had found some tracks. You guys followed them west through the fields to the creek. And as you were heading down the creek, you ran into another squad of two orcs. A battle ensued. Actually, I forgot, Terran almost died. Terran took a big hit on the river. But you guys successfully defeated the orcs. And you found the courier, Roger, tied to a tree, rescued him. You guys discovered upon searching these orcs that they, like the others, had been searching for these candles. They had the same sketch and same directions in a scroll. So you looted, you went back to town, everybody was happy to see you. And you guys had also had a chance to talk with the town priest. You went through the ledger of birth records and death records, basically the only documentation in the region for the ancestry of the people of this area. You discovered that there was a common link in history between a group of families, specifically 5 different families, who each inherited one of these candle holders many generations back. And I believe the lore that you had uncovered was that the commonality between all these ancestors from these different families were that they had all served in a military expedition many generations ago. Why they were given these candle holders, the significance of them, remains to be seen. But you guys had uncovered a bit more of the background behind this, and learned a little bit more about this Red Crescent. After you guys returned, you were given a missive to deliver to Lee Castle. You also had learned of the fact that the Lee family, who are tied to the noble family in this area, were part of that military expedition generations ago. And you learned that there was another family, the Santos family, who had been in the area and had an ancestor involved in that military expedition, but who had left the area about a decade ago. So that's where you find yourselves. And if you guys wanted to make the journey to the north, you know that this is going to be a full day of travel. And you're already late into the afternoon. So how do you want to proceed? What do you want to do, if anything, before embarking?
Garen's just gonna go to the inn and have more than a couple drinks.
Okay.
Yeah. Gizmos. Go ahead.
Let's go to the inn and devise a battle plan.
Yep, agreed.
After that encounter with the orcs, I could use a couple of drinks too.
You guys go to the inn. Igar actually tells you that he's going to go back to the church and talk to the priest about possibly getting some holy water that he would like to have as part of his supplies. So he says that he'll rendezvous back with you. You guys go back to the inn. You are welcomed by the sturdy innkeeper Falcone, and a lot of the townsfolk ask you guys about what happened. They all want to know the story and how many orcs there were and how the Kerr family is doing, and and how did you rescue Roger, and all these kind of questions. So you guys eat up. You have some drinks. You're kind of entertaining the crowd. And a couple hours go by, and it's now dusk, and you guys kind of come through, and your old friend Bello, the farmer, comes through, and he asks you guys if you're going to be staying for the night. Would you mind taking the first watch at the town walls for a few hours before you go to bed? Because his fellow volunteer militia residents have been working all day, and they just need a little break in order to do the overnight shift.
Karen volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm standing with my bow.
Okay.
I agree. Maybe the magic users should get some sleep while Taryn and I protect the wall.
Okay. Sounds good. I have a few stuff I want to remind myself of and tap on the book.
Okay. So Gizmo, you go up to your room. You kind of, you're not like ready to go to sleep yet. So you kind of start researching some more, going through your book, kind of thinking about things that you've learned so far. Igar actually returns, and he also has decided that he's going to get, a good night's sleep and get up early so he can, pray to his God for blessings and whatnot. So the rest of you guys go to the wall at both the north and south end. Freya and Roll Good, you guys are at the north end, and there's a couple torches, so you have some visibility, and there's actually a bonfire that they made about 50 feet out off to the side of the north road. So you've got, this kind of bigger bonfire out away from town just to give you a little more light at nighttime. Arazen and Taryn, you guys are at the south wall. Similar setup. They made a bonfire, and about every half an hour you go throw another log onto the fire to keep it going, and then you come back within the gates. You guys do the watch for 4 hours, and there's nothing. Nobody comes or goes. Nothing suspicious. No sounds. Nothing to really bother you guys. And at about 10 o'clock, you are relieved by a couple of the villagers on each of your sides, who are very grateful that you volunteered, and they were able to get some rest, and they kind of take up the posts. You guys go back to the inn, you crash, you get a good night's sleep. The next morning, everybody's up. Igar's up early doing his prayers. He actually goes to the church to do his prayers. Gizmo, you are up kind of meditating upon your spells.
Yep.
And the rest of you guys wake up kind of hungry, ready for some breakfast. So you all pack up your gear, you go down. Falcone offers to feed you guys breakfast one last time before you hit the road. And by the time everybody's done with breakfast, it's about 8 a.m. So you guys figure that you've got a full day of travel ahead. So you start hitting the road pretty early. And as you leave town, Roger, the courier, comes up to you. And he runs up, and you notice he kind of looks a little bit nervous. But he comes up to you guys and he's like, "Gentlemen, I just wanted to thank you once again for saving me. I am eternally in your debt. Thank you very much." And he's saying it kind of like loud, even though there's nobody really around. And he says, "Here is a basket of fruit and some bread that my fiance Molly made for you guys. Please accept it as a gift and enjoy it, perhaps for your lunch today."
Well met. Thank you, my friend.
And he does this like thing where he's like, and he winks several times. "Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy it for lunch, probably when you're on your way on the road." And then he's like, farewell, friends. And then he walks away briskly.
Okay.
You guys kind of walk to the north gate. The tired guards open the gates. They wave farewell, and you guys start walking up the road. You are miles outside of the town now, and you are out in the wild. This part of the region has a lot of like prairie, like tall prairie grass, some sporadic trees, a little bit of rolling hills, but it's not really the dense forested area. You've got, probably several hours of travel before you get into the densely forested area. So it's kind of out in the open. You could see, all the way off in many different directions. And as you're traveling, you go a good hour on foot up the north road, and you get to the marker that you were told about that leads off to the east towards the farmhouse that the Santos family and the land that they had lived on for generations. And it's pretty simply marked. There's a tree, and you see kind of two boards that are like crossed nailed up onto the tree, and one of them points north and it says Lee Castle, and the other one points east and it says Santos. But the one that points east that says Santos looks like it's older and it hasn't been as well maintained, and like the paint's chipped off.
Just before we got up, I prepared read magic, if it's okay.
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 So you guys kind of take a pause at this crossroads. What do you want to do?
Is there a mile marker on the sign that says how far it is to Santos?
There is not, or there might have been, but not anymore. The sign looks very old, very weathered. Most of the paint's chipped off. Whereas the sign that points to Lee Castle is very clear, and it's like 35 miles. Like, so you feel like that's been maintained by who, you're not sure, but it looks like it's been maintained better.
I feel like if we knew how close Santos residence was, we would check that first, as the castle feels more like the end game.
Well, I just want to look around and see if there are like recent encampments or something like that.
You do. You look around and you see kind of off to the northeast corner of this intersection of the roads. It looks like maybe some people on the road might have stopped here. You see kind of the remnants of a campfire, but it does not look like something from last night. It looks like something from maybe days or even weeks ago. The charred wood that remains is already wet from like rain in the previous week, so it does not look recent.
Okay. Oh, I think the village needs enforcement as soon as possible, on the other hand, and I don't think we are going to get enforcement outside of the castle. So, yeah, I would add there.
I believe you're... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I believe you're right, Gizmo. We should get to the castle quickly.
Before we do that, why don't we see what that guy gave us in the basket?
It was kind of
Oh, yeah.
the way he presented it. So,
Good question. So who has the basket and who's opening it? It's just a basic, it's like a wicker basket. And there's like a little wicker top to it, and there's some cloth sticking out, it looks like kind of like a big picnic basket.
I think Karen has it.
I might be carrying it.
Go ahead. I'll give it to Freya.
Okay. So Freya, you open the basket, and there is like a little linen cloth on the top of it. You pull the cloth back. You see a loaf of bread, which is still warm. Looks like it was baked this very morning. You see a cluster of some apples and some pears. And you even see like a wedge of cheese. Looks like a very nice little picnic basket. And there might be something underneath the fruit. And as you kind of like pull them aside, you see a little rolled up scroll.
All right, I'll take that out and unfurl it.
Take the cheese block.
You see that the scroll looks like it was kind of hastily written, and there's several ink smudges. And the handwriting is clearly not necessarily that of a competent calligrapher. It does not look like the handwriting, for example, of the missive from the magistrate. This looks like something that, somebody did rather quickly. And as you read it, there's also several misspellings. But it says, "Beware the Santos home. It is haunted and cursed."
All right. All right.
What that?
I hold up the scroll and like watch it, and it's a scroll probably written by the courier dude, and it says that the Santos house is like cursed and stuff. So, and I hand it over to Gizmo. So it's probably better not to go to the castle first and not play with the Santos right now.
Oh, I really want to go there.
There will be time for ghost hunting later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, if that's a good idea to go there.
We can stop by on the way back.
That might be an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you guys carry on, and your travel over the course of the next 5 hours is highly uneventful. You pass by literally, and this is like 10 miles later, right? You pass by one farmhouse, like on the entire expanse. It's just open no man's land. But after traveling for a while, by middle of the afternoon, the landscape is starting to change, and you definitely see that this area that you are entering is much more densely forested. And these are old trees, right? Old growth, big trees, big dark trees, and a lot of underbrush, because this is not a maintained forest, like, as part of the lands of a noble lord or anything. So it's just overgrown in many spots. And the North Road continues, but it also looks a little narrower through this stretch. So you're basically on this road that is still heading north, but quite often it deviates and it cuts to the left for, like a quarter mile, and then it comes back to the north, and it goes around different branches of trees. And it's your visibility in this forest is also like not quite as dark as night, but the canopy of this forest is such that it just absorbs the sunlight.
Do we know this area, or have we not been?
You know of it. And certainly you've heard stories that, every kind of folklorish rumor that you could hear from, bandits robbing people on the road, highwaymen, to other stranger things, to beasts, to wolves, and even sort of supernatural rumors, like rumors that there are, ghosts and fey spirits who torment and prank travelers who go through this area.
Sounds
Sword
like
and
you
shield
should
it.
look out.
Sword and shield at the ready.
What is our marching order, gentlemen? Who's up front, who's in the middle, and who's in the back?
I'd like to take the lead if y'all don't mind.
Take the rear.
I
Okay.
would like middle.
I'll be behind Freya.
Okay.
Claymore's out.
Igar will be kind of next to Gizmo. And you guys kind of are proceeding along, a little more cautious now. I'm going to have Freya and Roll Good make search rolls.
Now I have a 3 and 6 chance.
Okay.
2.
Yes.
1 for it. I'm in.
Okay. As you guys are going through one of the kind of curves, the roundabouts, it heads you back to the north. And you see the forest kind of open up a little bit more. In other words, there's almost like a shoulder of 20 feet of just kind of weeds and stuff before it hits the tall forest woods on each side of the road. So there's some open space on each side of the road. And this goes for as far as you can see. And up ahead, way up ahead, you see what looks like perhaps a bridge, like a wooden bridge. You see some rocks, you see big wooden posts, and you see this kind of bridge up ahead. And I'm talking like, this is like 150 feet up from where you guys are. So what do you do?
Is anybody on the bridge? Do we see anyone?
No, you don't see anyone. You feel like this area maybe at one time might have been better maintained, and that's why there's no tree growth right up to the road. Like it looks like it was cut away, but since then you see a lot of weeds that have grown up on this side of the road, and even some sapling trees that are trying to grow up.
Does the bridge look stable?
You would have to get a lot closer to it to find that out. You guys are, like I said, you're kind of coming around a bend, and as you come around this bend, that's kind of when like Freya notices that this opens up, and you see way up ahead, you see this bridge.
So we definitely want to proceed cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
Who is proceeding? The whole group?
Yep.
Darren's going.
Okay. So you guys continue walking up. You get about 30 feet away from the bridge, and you can see now that this must have been built decades ago. The wood is very weathered, very, very pale. And there's a river that it goes down into a ravine, about 20-foot drop down into a ravine, and a river that moves through pretty quickly at a pretty quick pace. And you feel like this river must be a feeder into the creek that you guys are familiar with closer to your town. But this far up the stream, it seems to move at a faster pace. Maybe it's a bit deeper. You see and hear, animals and stuff below in the water. The bridge itself is weathered old wood, but it looks sturdy, and it looks like it was built actually to be strong enough to have a cart go over it.
I'll stick my front foot onto the bridge and test its stability.
It seems to be completely fine.
Okay, I will cautiously cautiously cross the bridge while searching surrounding area for anything that might,
Okay.
fall apart.
I'll have all of you guys tell me what you're doing before he starts walking across the bridge. So, Gizmo, what are you doing at this point?
Oh, I'm probably cautiously looking behind us and around.
Go ahead and make a search roll.
6, nothing.
Okay. Taryn, what are you doing as Arizen's cautiously stepping out onto the bridge?
I'm still hanging out at the back of the group with my claymore on my shoulder, and I'm taking the last bite of that block of cheese, just looking around behind us.
Okay.
Specifically.
Go ahead and make a search.
Nope, that's a 5.
Okay. Roll Good and Freya, you guys are kind of closer to the bank of the ravine and the edge of the bridge. What are you guys doing?
I'd like to go to the right side of the bridge and just kneel down and look under it, see how sturdy it looks.
Make a search roll.
Lucky die. Nope, it's a 4 out of 2.
From what you could, so first of all, it's very dark under the bridge just because of the way that the timbers are constructed. There's the kind of arch space, but then there's a lot of cross supports and stuff. You see, cobwebs under there. It's very dirty. You see like clusters of leaves that are put together as if like birds have made nests in that area. It looks very old, but you don't see any signs of weakness in the structure itself. Roll Good, what are you doing on the other side?
I just wanted to look to the other side of the bridge and just look, not under the bridge, but around it. Maybe if I can look down into the water.
Okay.
I don't know if I can see it from there or not.
Sure. Go ahead and make a search.
That's also a 4.
Okay. So, Arizen, you take the first few steps across the bridge, and it seems very sturdy. Very sturdy.
The bridge feels safe, gentlemen and my lady. Let's cross.
Yeah, and to give you a sense of scope, it is the bridge is about 15 feet wide, so it could accommodate a single cart going across it very easily, or even like 2 people on horseback side by side very easily. And the bridge span over the river is about 50 feet, and there are about every 10 feet are these huge, thick posts, like the like a telephone pole, like that big, with cross beams that connect it.
I'm checking to see if there's anywhere that someone could come in for an ambush.
Okay, go ahead and make a search check.
3.
You kind of look on both sides of the bridge, and you see Freya like holding on to the edge and looking underneath it, and you see Rollgood like looking down into the ravine. You see Terran and Gizmo and Igar kind of looking behind and in the trees all around. It seems like nobody's in this area.
Well, let's do it. Okay.
So you get across. You walk across at the midway point. You look back and your friends are kind of waiting, and you guys see Arizen get to the halfway point of the bridge, and he seems okay.
Come join me.
I follow him.
On the way, brother.
Okay.
Wait, was there another way around?
Well, you could climb down the ravine, swim across the river, and climb back up.
I'm happy where I am, thank you.
Okay. So you go to the other end, and the rest of the party starts coming through, and a minute later, everybody's across the bridge. And this space on this side of the river is kind of similar. There's about 20 feet on either side of the road where there's some weeds and just empty dirt, and then the trees kind of form up again. And that goes for about 100 feet before the trees kind of enclose on the road again. So you're kind of looking into a funnel of open space and then deeper, denser woods.
When we can see more around us, is a castle seeable?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just a long amount of road going into the woods.
Okay.
Come, brothers, let's go on
Let's
this.
keep marching.
road.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys walk and you get to, about 50 feet down the road. You can still hear the water going behind you. And I'm going to have each one of you make a roll under. So you're going to roll a d20 and tell me how low you roll.
8.
16.
15.
Who got lower than a 10?
I got a 6.
Roll good. You hear sound from way back, from behind you, like behind you, behind the bridge, and you see a group of men coming out of the woods on the other side of the bridge, behind you guys from where you were. They're coming out of the woods. There are 4 of them, and they look very ragged, like no armor, barely clothes. Like their clothes are torn, dirty. There's like leaves and twigs in their hair, and they have like very simple weapons, like axes for chopping wood kind of weapons and clubs. And you see 4 of them kind of coming out of the woods, and they're jogging towards the bridge, like as if they're trying to catch up to you guys.
Brothers, come together. We have people from behind. And I pull out my bow, and I'm ready to shoot as soon as they're in range.
Okay.
Can we tell if they've seen us yet?
Oh yeah.
They have seen us.
You see that they're running at you, and they don't look like they're running at you because they admire your heroic deeds. They look like they maybe want to rob you and take everything that you own and your lives.
Brothers, to arms, prepare to fight.
As you guys are pulling weapons out or readying the weapons that you already have, an arrow whizzes by you from in front of you.
Oh,
And another arrow whizzes by you from in front of you.
shit.
Take cover.
We're surrounded.
The problem is that the second arrow hits someone, and not in a good way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Freya. So the first arrow whizzes by you, and it kind of draws your attention to the fact that you're in a pinch, and that there's these 4 guys with axes that are far behind you. But now you're getting shot at, and the second arrow hits Freya. Oh no.
Oh shit.
Oh no. Oh no. Freya, how many hit points do you have?
12.
Okay, you take 9. An arrow sinks deeply into your back. As you're turning to confront those 4 highwaymen that are rushing the bridge, you've been ambushed from the other side.
I've been hit.
Igar, can you tend to Freya?
Everybody hears it. Now we roll initiative. Oh, that sucks. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to do okay on this.
14.
17.
8.
Was there any...
5.
Is it plus dexterity or just number on dice?
Just the number on the dice.
Oh, 17 then.
Okay. Who got higher than a 17? Nobody? All right. 17 was Gizmo and who? All right. Gizmo, you're in a cluster of your friends right now. But you are up. You're able to act. You see the 2 highwaymen with very lame, primitive bows. These are just short bows, and they are about 20 feet off to either side of you in the woods. And one of them just shot Freya.
How far is Arizon from them?
Arizon and, I mean, all the rest of you from the archers, you guys are all about 20 feet away from the archers. They literally just popped out from the edge of the forest, and it's open ground between them and you guys. They have partial cover because they're kind of popping out from behind the tree line.
Okay, so I pat Arizon on the back, and using my long prepared spell, Reality Shivers, and Arizon is 20% larger.
Yes.
What? Enlarged.
You
person.
shall bleed this day.
So you just made him into a giant then.
Wow.
I think it's
Wow.
yeah.
All right, so enlarge allows you to. All right, so Gizmo utters a series of words and contorts his hand at you like this and twists it up into a fist, and you feel yourself swelling. Immediately you swell. And you guys, around you guys, you see Arazen just turn into this beast of himself. He's literally 40% bigger, just taller, bigger mass. Even his weapons and armor seem to get a little bit bigger, but you notice that his armor is bursting, like it's just like you hear the stitches in the leather start to kind of tear and pull, like the leather's really tight. Arazen, it's your turn, right? You had a 17 for...
Yes, it is.
Okay, this happens to you, and now it's your turn. And you see where these two archers are, one on each side of the road.
With my longsword ready to attack and my giant frame, I attack with great haste. Ah!
All right.
22.
You run. Oh my God, that's a hit. You run up to an archer who is like literally in shock, like he's holding his bow and an arrow, and he's like, oh, and he like kind of falters back, and you run up and just swing down with your sword. So roll your damage, and your damage is impacted by the enlarged spell, as we discussed. So
10.
10 total.
10 total with the advanced size.
You cut him down. You cut through his bow into his chest and shoulder, and he just crumples. All right, who had a initiative of 16, 15, 14, 13?
14.
All right, Freya, you have two options. One of them is clearly dead. The other one, who shot you, is ducked back behind the tree to reload.
Mm-hmm.
That one is 20 feet away. So you could run up and attack. It's within your movement to do so. Or alternatively, about 80 feet away is the group of 4 highwaymen running with their axes and clubs.
Yeah. Well, I have my rapier out, so it's probably better to run up and have a go at that other archer.
Okay, so you run through the weeds and the tall grass, kind of jumping over, and you come around the tree, and you see the other archers like trying to like get an arrow out and reload, and you lunge towards him with your rapier.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll.
Screaming, hollering in pain as I do so. That's a 12 to hit.
12 will hit. He has no armor. He barely has clothes.
All right. And that's 6 damage.
You stab deeply into him, and he coughs blood out of his mouth, and he kind of turns and rolls. He's very wounded, like you, but not dead. All right, next up in initiative, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7.
8.
Good God, you guys. All right, Karen, you see your friends split off. You saw in abject astonishment as Arazen grew to a massive size, hulked out, ran over, and just clobbered one of the archers. You saw as Freya ran over with her rapier and impaled another one.
How far are the 4 people?
The 4 people haven't made it to the bridge yet. They are 80 feet away. So your bridge is 50 feet across. Right? Is that what I said?
I believe you did.
15 feet.
It was 50 across.
50 across.
Yeah, 50 across.
So,
yeah.
So they're 80 feet away. So you're about 20 feet away from your side of the bridge, and they're about 10, 20 feet away from their side of the bridge.
Okay. I'm just gonna. I got my claymore out already. I'm just gonna have it on my shoulder and just licking the cheese off of the fingers and just waiting for it.
Okay. So, like, are you gonna sentinel up to the bridge?
No, I'm just waiting for him.
Okay. Let's see. Who's next? Roll good.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to try to shoot them with my longbow, but since it's over 50 feet, I'm going to have to do it with a -2 to hit. So I'll give that a try.
Okay.
That would be a 16.
16 with the -2?
With the -2.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. And that's 4 points of damage.
4 points. You fire off an arrow and it soars over the bridge and nails one of the guys in the shoulder, and he kind of spins out into the dust. Not sure if he's dead, but he definitely took quite a hit. Igar does the same thing, but misses because of the range. So, and that brings us to them. They are still running. The three of the highwaymen, they run their full speed and they make it to they're on the bridge. And they're not quite halfway. They're about a third of the way across the bridge. The guy that you hit with your arrow, he gets up and he kind of limps over and he gets to just the edge of the bridge, but the other three guys are ahead and they're running. Top of the order, Freya, the guy that you stabbed, who shot you, he rolls through the weeds and the overgrowth and begins running up the north road to escape you. Mm-hmm. He's kind of zigzagging and trying to like run away. Back to the top of the order, Gizmo, you're up.
Okay, taking defensive stand and using the running one is close.
The one that's running away from Freya is about 20 feet away from you.
Okay, and using my slingshot to trying to hit him. So that's 11. So probably
miss.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah,
okay.
Keeping defensive stand.
Arazen, you see the chopped body that you just slayed, and you hear like and you like see this haggard guy who's bleeding, like there's blood coming out of his shirt. He's got a bow in one hand and he's like trying to like run away down the north road, and you see Freya's kind of behind him. You also see Terran kind of standing with his claymore, and you see three guys running across the bridge.
Are there any stones nearby that I can throw at the one that's trying to escape?
Oh yeah.
With my enhanced size and strength, I'd like to pick up a boulder and bowl him down.
There aren't any boulders, but there's like a good size, like a 16-inch softball sized rock that you could pick up and just tear. So that's going to be a thrown attack. This is crazy. All right, go ahead. So make your roll.
16 plus 6. 22.
That's so crazy. All right, I'm going to say that normally this rock would just do like a hit point of 1d2 hit points of damage, right? So
I just want to slow him down so he can't warn anyone.
Yeah, well, you slow him down. So you do 4 plus your enhanced strength bonus. You hit him on the head and he falls. You're not sure if he's dead or not. But you're like, whew, and this rock goes, and you see it smash him, and he doesn't like, bobble. He's just out. He just drops like a sack of potatoes. Freya, you see this rock fly out from the giant form of Arazen, and it hits the guy, and he crumples, and you see there's a pretty good sized gash on the back of his head. What do you do for your round?
Is he still within reachable range?
Oh yeah, you could run right up to him. He's not moving.
All right. I'm just gonna go in for a security kill shot. Just
Okay.
running up to him,
Okay.
slide my dagger, rapier into him.
You easily do so. No need to roll.
Yeah.
You pierce right through him, and you're pretty sure if he wasn't dead already, he's definitely dead now.
All right.
Taryn and Brolgood, you guys and Igar see that the advancing highwaymen are still running at you guys.
What's their range now?
They're 30 feet away. They will be at you in melee next round.
So I can make it up to him right now if I wanted to.
You could meet them halfway on the bridge and attack, yes.
I'll do that. I'll
Okay.
run up.
You run up, you got your claymore clocked over, and as you get closer, you see they're raising their axes to go in on you, and you swoop down with your gigantic blade.
That's like this is 21.
Oh, yeah, that's... Roll damage.
10 damage.
Yo! They come up with their axes, and you're like, you come down and you split this dude. And he you hit him right in the torso. His axe flies out of his hand, and he smashes into the wood post of the bridge, and your sword's just carved open his guts, and there's just blood everywhere. The other two guys are nearby, and one of them is going to take a swipe at you. What's your armor class?
That would be... So with the minus, I did the press attack. I think I said that. Be a 9.
Really? 9 hits. Okay. I thought I was going to miss. You take 2 hit points of damage as he swings at you with his axe. The other guy keeps running. Like, he's running towards Igar and Brolgood and Gizmo.
Okay.
And he's hauling ass. He's got his axe. The last guy who Brolgood had shot is now coming up on the halfway point of the bridge, and he has his axe, but he'll be at you next round.
Gotcha.
Brolgood, you're reloading, I'm assuming?
Yes.
He's definitely in your range now. He's
Okay,
about
then.
30 feet away, so...
I'm gonna take a shot at that one then, the one that's running towards me.
All right, you pull back, aim, you line it up. He's just running straight towards you. There's no just death in his eyes. It's...
And then I got an 8.
So you pull back and you fire, and it's like he sees you at the last minute and kind of ducks as he's running, and the arrow flies by. Igar fires his short bow, and that's a hit for lame 2. So the arrow hits the guy, but he keeps running. He's just furious, and he's getting closer. All right, top of the order, my friends. Top of the order. Gizmo, there's an Axeman coming towards you right now. He is. It's like you almost see in his eyes that he's focusing on you and not the 2 men with bows who are firing at him. Like, his axe is raised, he is running full speed, and he's like just like staring at you. What do you do?
How far is he?
This round he'll be at you. So basically he's within 20 feet.
Okay, so I try to throw my dagger at him.
Okay.
I just don't, so. Okay, that would be yeah, I'll do it. 13 to hit.
Yes, that hits.
Okay. Okay. For 4.
Okay. The dagger sinks into him. He's got an arrow and a dagger in him. He's still running at you full blast with his axe.
And yeah, and move A little bit back, at least.
Okay.
Um,
Arisen, you are up. You see over your shoulder that there's one of these highwaymen who's gotten past your friend Taryn and is very close to Gizmo and Roll Good and Igar.
Taking advantage once again of my immense size, I grab the corpse of the body I just laid and I throw it at the man that's approaching my Gizmo, and then I swing my sword.
All right. You can do one of those things.
I'll throw the body.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to tell you what the difficulty of this is. So you give me a straight roll. Tell me what the roll is.
The roll is 17 plus whatever my strength modifier if I get to use that.
Okay. Your 17 is fine.
Yes.
Even with the -6 I was going to give you for trying to throw a body, that still hits. All right. Now I'm going to roll the actual effect of that. So it only does 1 hit point of damage, but more importantly, it stops his momentum.
And it was really cool.
It was really cool. Yeah, and a lot of blood came out of the body as it was spinning through the air. So all of your friends now, like Igar, Rollgood, and Gizmo, got like sponged by blood flying, like just spatter of blood through the air.
Bath time, my friends.
But the body hit him and stopped his momentum, and he actually fails his dex check. He gets knocked down. Okay, so you prevented him from getting closer. Freya, you are a little bit further past after having put the death blow into the archer that shot you, and you're in a lot of pain. So what do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna do what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take my rapier as a golf club, basically, and while I'm shouting out, like, "How dare you shoot me in the back? I'm a lady, you bastard!" and just golf club him right up from the crotch upwards with my rapier.
Yes.
Just slice him.
So you further punish the body of the dead man.
Yep.
Well played. Well played. Taryn, you are now engaged with two of them.
Oh, okay.
The guy that you hit is not totally dead, and the guy that Roll Good shot an arrow into has finally limped up. So you have two different opponents, both of whom are wounded. What do you do?
Are they standing like literally side by side?
No, they're on about a 90. So the one guy that you hit so hard, you know, pulled your claymore out, and he's kind of up against the edge of the bridge, and then the other guy's coming towards you. So it's kind of like on a 90.
Okay, can't do what I want him to do. So I'll just attack the guy in front of me.
Okay.
Who hit me because he deserves to die now. That's 13.
That's a hit. Damn
Okay. 12.
12 total.
Yep, 7 plus my 5 damage.
You cut his leg off, and he dies within seconds. The blood loss is incredible. The other guy is basically, you see a brief moment on his face. It's like in one split second, all of his life decisions.
You hear the record scratch
before his eyes.
You hear the record scratch.
and it's like in slow motion, like his eyes dart down to his friend who is now missing a leg. And you didn't just cut off like the bottom, you cut it off at like the thigh. So it's just a big hunk of open meat with blood like shooting out all over the bridge and dripping down the boards into the water. And fish are coming up and swimming and smelling it. And it's like he realizes that there's nothing else to do except swing his axe at you. And that might be a hit. 17.
Yes, that's a hit.
Fortunately for you, he only does 2 damage.
Okay.
And it's just like, it's almost like tears in his eyes. He's like, ah, and he swings and he hits you. Roll good. You see, as blood's dripping down your own face from a body that just frisbeed past you in the air. You see the man who was knocked down by that corpse is like rolling over and getting up, and he looks pissed still, even though he's got a dagger and an arrow sticking out of him. And then you see another guy, the guy that you originally shot, Rollgood, from that far distance. He's got an arrow in him, and he's swinging at Terran. So what do you do?
I'm going to go for the one that's trying to get Terran because he can't get my buddy.
Okay.
That would be a 22.
That's a hit.
Nice.
Roll damage.
But it only just grazed his shoulder. That's a 1.
Okay. Fair enough. He's a determined man, and once again, your arrow has stung him. This leads us to... Okay. The guy who was knocked down by the corpse successfully gets up, and he is singularly focused now at running towards Gizmo. Again, it's like there's 3 people standing there. There's Rollgood and Igar, and Gizmo's even backed away further, and this guy just gets up, and he's just like starts rushing at Gizmo again. Top of the order, Gizmo, it's your turn.
Okay. Since I have only 1 weapon now, I'm using slingshot.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Taking defensive stand, of course. That would be 8. That misses, I think.
Arazen, you see this determined highwayman, after being knocked over by the corpse that you threw at him, is still getting up and running through a phalanx of 2 archers towards Gizmo with his axe.
Apparently, this stubborn one doesn't know when it's a good day to die, so I will finish him off. Gizmo, back up.
Okay.
You run over with your sword?
20, yeah, with my sword. 21.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
8.
You skewer him, literally, on your blade. And you carve up into his carcass. You hear his ribs crack, and your blade comes out the other side somewhere near his spine. And it, like, his body goes limp, and there's just blood coming out of his mouth. And his dead eyes are like looking up at you as you're like holding him on your sword. He is quite dead. Freya. You heard the bones split as Arazen skewered this man on his sword.
Yeah, I look around to see if I can find Igar, and
you see Igar reloading an arrow. He and Rollgood are kind of by the edge of the bridge, and you see further past them, you see Terran fighting one last highwayman.
Yeah. No, probably with my adrenaline rush almost over, I suppose. I'm just gonna crawl over and get towards Igar.
Okay. Rollgood.
So I'm still I have to shoot that guy that's still going after Terran.
Okay.
And that would be 17.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
6.
I was kind of hoping it'd be a 1, because it'd be funny to
Me
see
too.
how many arrows this guy could have in it. All right, that arrow does the trick. So Terran, you're about to heave your claymore around from the body of the other guy and come down, and an arrow flies over your shoulder and hits this dude in the neck, and he just falls back and drops. His axe flies and clanks onto the bridge.
I still come down with the claymore.
Yeah, just for good measure, you split him in half too.
Yeah.
There's a moment after this combat, that eerie moment of silence where you just hear like birds in the woods and the babbling sound of the river. Terran, you hear the drips of pools of blood. You're like, oh, that is quite a lot of blood. In fact, the stump of the leg is still just like just. The rest of you guys, it's very quiet. The woods have grown quiet, and there's no moaning of men in pain, but there is a lot of blood just everywhere, just so much blood. And
I want to retrieve my dagger from the guy who ran at me.
okay, you go over there. You see Taryn wiping the claymore off on what little bit of clothing remains that isn't covered of blood. Igar turns around and like looks at all of you, and he's like, "My God!" He's like, "Freya." He goes over to Freya and begins kind of tending the wound, carefully trying to kind of extract the arrow. What are the rest of you guys doing?
Searching the bodies.
Yeah, I would like to get back all of my arrows too, if I can, if they're not broken.
Okay. Roll good. You were able to recover 2 of your arrows. Gizmo, you are able to recover your dagger.
Okay.
There are 2 of the axes that you guys are able to recover. These are not battle axes. They're considered small weapons. They're just hand axes. So they do 1d6. So there are 2 axes. And then none of them had armor, but you are able to recover 1 of their longbows. And that guy that had the longbow that Arizin first split in half, even though his bow got split in half, there were 6 arrows. So you can recover 1 longbow and 6 arrows. None of them have any coin on them. None of them had any food, rope, water, anything.
Looks like these desperate men made desperate decisions.
They might have had their stuff underneath the bridge, though. I saw them come out from underneath. If they had anything at all. I'm gonna pick up one of those.
They did not come out from underneath.
Oh, they didn't?
Came out.
Okay.
The highwaymen
Fine.
came out from behind you. You figure now that as you guys pass through the woods towards the bridge, they must have been there, kind of waiting. You could go back and do a search. If you guys want to do search checks, you could do that.
I won't bother. I'll just pick up one of the axes and put it in my backpack.
Okay.
Are we gonna leave the bodies here on the bridge, or just gonna toss them down the ravine into the river?
What do you guys
I'm gonna
think?
leave them here.
Do we want to leave a message for anyone else that might be tailing us?
I don't think they were tailing us.
No.
Just leave them here.
The blood
Where they
spots
deserve to be.
smell.
'Cause I won't be cleaning this blood.
Nope.
You
Wait,
guys notice that Arizin is still huge. He is still 8.5 feet tall, and like his voice is lower, and like even his stuff seems bigger. You notice that this is still a thing.
Damn, Arizin, how long are you gonna stay like that?
Hopefully forever.
I think.
You'll never get another bard maiden after that, though.
You'd be surprised, my friend.
I think you have like 15 minutes now.
I didn't know my voice had to get deeper. Hold on just a moment.
Igar, so Freya, you were, how many hit points did you take? 9?
9 down. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
After
yes.
carefully removing the arrow, which pinches a little bit, Igar kind of starts cleaning and bandaging your wound. You regain 5 plus, what is it? Plus level. So you regain a total of 7 hit points. And then Igar kind of, this takes like 5 minutes while you guys are like looting. Igar's like doing the healing and stuff. And then he's like, who else was wounded? Arizin? Taryn?
Fine.
I don't think anyone else was.
Just me by the surprise attack.
Well,
But he
no,
paid.
Taryn took a little bit.
Taryn was
took
hurt, but he ain't saying anything.
Okay. All right. So you guys are leaving the bodies. You're not disposing, stacking, hiding, burning, nothing. Just leaving them. Okay. You guys kind of finish cleaning up, and you carry on down the road through the woods. You travel for another 3 hours before it's dark, and you are still deep in the woods. By this time, Arizen has restored his size. Your leather armor is a little loose because you stretched it out, but it still fits. And it is now to the point, guys, where your visibility is such that it's nighttime in these woods. The air has cooled down a little bit, and Igar lights a torch so that you guys can see. So you can see about 15 feet pretty decently around you guys, and you're kind of following the road. It does its thing where occasionally it jogs to the right, around a area of rocks and trees, and then it kind of comes back heading northward.
Taryn, I'll light a torch as well in the rear.
Okay. So it's about 9 o'clock at night. You guys have traveled a whole day. Do you intend to continue walking through the forest at night? Are you going to stop and break for a camp? What's your plan?
Let's make camp and I'll find us some food.
Yeah. Let's make.
Do we have any clue how much further it is?
You feel like at least 4 more hours.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about time to camp.
Yeah, I think we should camp.
Okay. Where and how are you guys setting up your camp?
I think we can look for a place that might be a little bit off the path.
Remember, this is very dense woods, so if you want to go into the woods either way, you will have to literally cut underbrush and machete your way through to get into the woods. There are not a lot of clearings that you see.
Perhaps one of those rocky outcrops that the road runs around.
Okay.
Will be a clearing.
You guys walk a little bit further and you get to a spot where there's kind of a little bit of a hill, some rocks, and you feel like there's enough room, at least up there, of a clearing to kind of cut away some of the weeds and little saplings and maybe build a fire and set up some space. You guys start doing that. Now you do have trail rations, but you could also, if I know Arizen said that you wanted to hunt. Okay. So who has bushcraft? It's time to use a skill called bushcraft.
Is there foraging and hunting?
That's basically bushcraft, yeah.
Yeah.
I do not.
And just a single one.
I have 2.
Have one also.
Oh. If I remember, there were apple and bread remaining in the basket.
Yes, there's bread and some fruit.
I take
There's no more
some
tea.
fruit.
Wouldn't we have snacked on that by now?
Yeah, I would say that there's not a
Okay.
lot left to feed everybody. There's,
Okay,
just a little
okay.
bit. Okay, so with your successful bushcraft rolls, I'm going to say that you were able to, for the expenditure of 4 arrows while you're hunting, you're able to actually bag a deer. So that process takes you an hour. But you come back, you gut the deer, you start skinning it, you start preparing the meat. Igar, Gizmo, and have built a fire, gotten found some wood that's pretty dry. So you guys have this kind of this little encampment set up. You get a fire going, you start cooking the deer meat. The whole process keeps you up till about midnight, but you guys have all eaten and you have a fair amount of meat left over that you've cooked. So what is your plan for sleeping, and is anyone taking watches, and how are you going to do that?
Definitely.
Go ahead.
I would like to take last watch because I need hour at the morning to refresh my memory.
Yes, Igar agrees. He also says that his god has given him more understanding of the cosmos, and that he can grant another healing before going to sleep if anyone needs that.
Karen just volunteers for the first watch.
Okay. He heals Freya. Freya, you regain another 6 hit points, so you're back up at full.
Yep.
Igar goes to sleep. Gizmo goes to sleep. Terran's taking first watch, and the rest of you guys are going to sleep. Freya will be second watch. Okay. So Terran, you're on first watch. Roll a d20. It's time for random encounters.
That's a 19 on the die.
Yes. You know what's remarkable? What I just rolled? A 19. What are the odds of that, everybody?
Pretty hard.
Pretty unlikely. You spend the first 3 hours uneventfully. You hear some owls on occasion. You hear the skittering of animals in the woods. You quietly sharpen your claymore, just kind of pick at some of the cooked meat, throw it on the fire,
I clean my wounds up a little bit too.
Yeah. Goes uneventfully. Your friends are out snoring, just in a food coma of venison meat. And then after your 3 hours, you kind of give Freya a nudge. She kind of wakes up, comes out of the sleep, splashes some water on her face. You go to sleep. Freya, make a d20 roll. Tell me what the result is.
Oh, that's a 10.
A 10?
Yep.
Okay. Not a problem. Very similarly, it's middle of the night. It's actually cooled down quite a bit, so you feed the fire to keep it warm. It's a little bit foggy, but cool inside the forest. There's that cool forest smell kind of blowing through. Occasionally, just to stay awake, you kind of get up and do a little perimeter walk. Got your torch, you got your rapier out, but you don't really see anything. And 3 hours later, you wake up. Who was it? Rollgood?
Yeah, I'll be on.
So you tap Rollgood. Rollgood, you feel great. You had a fantastic sleep. You feed the fire. Freya goes back to sleep. You feed the fire. You take a little walk out. Do the same kind of perimeter check. I assume you have your bow. Go ahead and make a d20 roll. Tell me what the result is.
That's a 6.
Okay. About halfway through, about 2 hours maybe into your shift, you see a little bit of light starting to come through the canopy, the dense forest. So you feel like you're getting closer to the morning. You hear like kind of a change in the birds. The birds of morning are starting to wake up. You go out and you kind of take a leak on a tree, and you come back to the fire. You feed another log on the fire, and as you're kind of looking over your shoulder, you see way down the path, not ahead of you, but behind you, where you guys came from. You see somebody like walking towards you down the path. They seem like they're traveling by themselves, and you're not sure because, this is like 150 feet away, right? And it's still kind of dim lighting, but you see them walking and they kind of look like they're maybe wounded, or like exhausted or starving or dehydrated, but they're kind of like limping and they're walking slowly like in your direction down the road.
I quietly wake Gizmo and
Igar?
Igar so that they can be with me and we can kind of keep an eye on this person that's coming down the road. I don't want to approach this person. I just want to let him get a little bit closer.
Igar wakes up. Gizmo, you wake up. You feel refreshed, but obviously you haven't had a chance to do your spell study yet. Igar starts putting his chain armor on. Then he's like, Gizmo, help me. Like, so you're helping him get into his armor. As you're, Roll Good, you're watching down the road, and this figure is kind of just continuously moving towards you, just limping and like at one point kind of almost falls, but then like gets back up and like you hear them like moaning in pain, like and like they're getting closer. About 60 feet away. Still dark. You can't really. You're just seeing a silhouette almost. What do you do?
Yeah, that makes me a little bit nervous because I don't know who that could be. So I'm just gonna quietly wake up the other guys and say, we got a person out here, and I just want to be safe that he's not trying to trick us into an ambush or something. And I still wait and watching cautiously as he approaches.
Okay. The rest of you guys, Rollgood quietly wakes you up. Arizon, you're rested. You've been sleeping this whole time. Rollgood points out down the road that he sees this figure. You see this silhouette kind of through the dim, just pre-dawn light, kind of limping and kind of moving slowly and kind of stumbling towards you guys and moaning almost in pain, or you're not sure if it's person's been wounded or if they're starving, but moving very slowly towards you guys.
Is like something dripping from him?
You don't see anything. Like, he doesn't look like he's been in the river or anything.
Or is bleeding?
Yeah, you'd have to get closer with a torch to be able to see any details. Right now, it's really just, your light is limited to about 15 feet of effective light, which is just around your area.
Is it just the one silhouette that we see?
Yeah.
Karen grabs the torch with his claymore out and approaches the person. Calls out to him. Halt!
So you approach and you see when you approach and you say halt, like the person's pace, like he kind of like jerks up and he's like, ugh, and he starts moving a little faster and kind of like lurching towards you.
Undead zombie!
As Irizen says that, and you're holding your torch up, and this guy gets within 20 feet of you, just at the edge of your torchlight, you see a person whose skin is very pale and gray, whose body is bloodied, with 2 arrows and another gash in his body sticking out of him. And you recognize this as one of the bandits, one of the highwaymen. And his face is kind of contorted, his jaw's like hanging down, and his eyes are kind of like unfocused, but he starts coming towards you and he's like, ah, and he's coming towards you in a faster lurch.
We should have burned the bodies when we had a chance.
You see him coming. It's not a surprise. He's slow, and you feel like if you drop your torch, you could take a swing with your claymore at him.
That's
what
I
do
would
you do?
I'm gonna swing my claymore at him.
Okay, go ahead and make the roll.
Are you doing initiative or?
Nope.
Okay.
You get the first round. He's slow.
18.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
That's 15 damage.
15 damage. You put a
10 on the die. 5.
you come down and you cut off most of his shoulder and his arm. And it's, the blood is not shooting out like it had with other victims. It's just kind of leaking out. And he falls to the ground, and he's still twitching, and you see him kind of, his eyes look up at you, and his one arm kind of reaches up, and he's like, ah, and his teeth are biting at you. And he starts trying to roll to get up.
I'll stab him through the skull, if that's allowed.
It is. Go ahead and make a roll. Anything over a 5 is a hit.
That's 23.
Yeah, that's enough. Roll damage.
7.
You come down with the claymore and you're like, whoosh, and it pierces his skull. And the whole body stops moving. No twitching, just done. And ever so slightly, you just saw this weird little green glow of mist kind of escape out of where your sword went into his skull, and then it dissipates.
Okay.
Your torch is still on the ground right next to you, burning.
I'll pick it up and yank my sword out of his skull.
Okay.
And I'll call over the Gizmo, and I'm like, Gizmo, come here for a second.
Okay, going there.
And I'll point out when I stabbed this fool in the skull, I saw a little green mist coming out of the wounds in his skull. You know anything about that?
Seems like that might be something that was keeping him up, and I try to inspect it if I find anything discernible.
I'll let you make a roll under of your intelligence score.
Okay.
Tell me what the roll is. How low can you go?
5 under.
That's pretty good. You have learned about zombies in your studies of the supernatural and the arcane. You have learned that there are different ways in which the dead can be reanimated. Specifically, a reference to the idea of some kind of energy or green glow does not jog your memory. You don't necessarily remember that specifically, but you feel like it could have magical implications. The one thing that you do recall is that typically there's a catalyst for something like this happening. There's usually a reason why the dead reanimate.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that is specifically a person who has performed a ritual of necromancy. But other times, the dead have been known to reanimate based on the ley lines and the magical dwemer of a location.
Think about it. I'll put down what he has on him. Like any scrolls, any writing, anything.
This is the same body that you pulled your dagger out of 8 hours ago, 12 hours ago. Okay. It's just been reanimated, and now it is completely obliterated.
Seems like someone or something doesn't let him rest. I think...
Make a search roll as you're checking his body.
Okay. 3. I have 1, so...
Kail, make a search roll, because I'm assuming you're kind of like standing over him while Gizmo's doing this.
Yeah. That's a 2.
You notice as Gizmo's like kind of checking his body and kind of pulling what's left of his clothing off, you notice something that you didn't see before on any of the highwaymen. You notice on his neck, there's like a mark. There's a little like semicircular mark. It looks almost like somebody branded him, like you would see farmers branding their animals. And this is kind of a little like half circle mark that's branded on him.
I'll crouch down and I'll one hand on my claymore and I'll be like, Gizmo, back.
Okay. Is it looking like the Red Crescent logo?
Yes, it's very similar in shape, although not as detailed, but it looks like a very similar shape that's been branded into the flesh.
Just mutter to himself, I gotta get that spellbook of his.
As you guys are kind of looking this over, Igar is packing up and he's like, you guys, we should go. I don't want to take a chance that any more of those things will be coming our way.
That's a good idea.
I do agree with you.
Let's move a bit of ways up the road, and then perhaps Gizmo and I could stop and prepare our magics for the day.
Yep.
So you guys pack up your camp. You take what meat is left that you were able to smoke overnight. It's kind of dry, but it's better than nothing. And you guys kind of continue going up the road. You travel for another 2 hours, and as you're traveling through the woods, a little bit more light every few minutes, a little more light comes through. And up ahead, you see almost like a light at the end of the tunnel kind of effect. You see the road, the space off to the side of the road kind of open up more. You see, the canopy of trees starts to become a little thinner. More of the sun's light comes through. And you guys emerge through the forest path out into the open. And you see the north road carrying on in advance. And it's a beautiful grass country and hills. And off in the distance, way off in the distance, you see a castle. And that is where we'll end this episode of the Lamenters. Thank you for watching our actual play of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Hello, it's me, Wizzy. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. And then don't forget to tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and crafting videos and DM tips and pro tips for vlogging and all sorts of gaming things. And also you could watch Bill eat food and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.